Hello, everyone. I'm once again joined my father for another movie review. Say hi, Dad.
Hi, everybody.
As you'll remember, I think it was in the War of the Worlds video. I mentioned that we were going to do a Casablanca video, but at that time, I didn't do it right away because things got in the way, and also my horror videos were coming out. So here's your Casablanca video. What do you think of Casablanca, Dad? It's been 90 years since this movie came out. Could you believe it?
No, it's hard to believe that it's been so long ago.
These movies just keep getting older and older every year.
Yep.
But the good news is they keep getting better and better as time goes on. It'll still stand the test of times.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah, Casablanca, this is just an excellent film. It's like, it's a film about a guy who owns his own cafe, and he runs into an old flame that he remembers from Paris before pre-World War II at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a miraculous film because it wasn't all mapped out, before they did the movie.
Right.
They kind of changed things as they went along.
Right.
And even the stars weren't sure about what was going to happen
Right,
next.
right. Well, especially how, well, not to jump ahead, but they didn't know, the ending until the last day of filming.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right. But, despite, all the crazy production problems and stuff and improvise, it worked.
It did.
It's one of those, rare things where studio interference was not really that big of a problem for once.
Mm-hmm.
Despite, modern-day films, you always hear about studio interference with films, how, there was potential, but the studio interfered and ruined everything, but not Casablanca.
Right, no.
Yeah. Everything about this film is such a timeless classic from start to finish, from the dialogue, the story. It's just, so poetic in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Everything is just so classic from start to finish.
Yeah, it is. And, it's the kind of film that you can see over and over again, which I have.
No, me too. No, me too.
And
Same.
every time you see it, you can appreciate it.
Right. This was the kind of film that people needed the escapism at the time from, what was going on, like Pearl Harbor, and we had just entered the war at that time, because before we were neutral, but then after Pearl Harbor, we entered the war.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And there's also a feeling of national pride where, the French would get up and sing their song.
Right.
Their national anthem, trying to drown out the Nazis.
Right.
Which they do.
Right. No, they did. I remember when you first showed me this movie, and talked about that scene. Those were actually, I think you said, real soldier or real people who had just
Right. They were real refugees.
Right.
Because of World War II.
Right.
So it really is a very touching moment, and all of the actors and actresses put their heart and soul into it.
So convincing to me every time I watch that, especially that one. I don't remember that character's name, but I just remember that the look on that woman's face, how she's singing and having that tear of yeah. How they say movies are escapism? Well, this is an escapism film. For some reason, anytime when I'm feeling down or upset, this is a go-to escapism film to transform me back in a different time period sometimes.
Yeah.
To a certain degree. Just minus the Nazi part.
Right. Well, it has great performances.
Right.
Right down the line.
Right.
From Humphrey Bogart.
Right, who I love in this movie a lot.
Ingrid Bergman.
Yes.
And then, you get down to the bit players.
Right.
Well, I mean, Claude Rains isn't really a bit player. He's a supporting actor, but he's terrific.
He is.
Paul Henreid, then Sidney Greenstreet.
Yeah.
They're all terrific.
Right. Well, with bringing up Claude Rains' character, it's amazing, how for a guy who's in the Nazi Germany part, but yet he has, a bond of friendship with Humphrey Bogart's character, especially how, he's, trying to, kidnap Ingrid Bergman and her husband and stuff, but then up until, the end, it's he has somewhat of a change of heart somewhat to a degree when you think about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did. He's still a very duplicitous character.
Yeah, absolutely.
That he'll go with whichever way is going to benefit him.
Right, right. And I also remember when I first saw it, I was amazed, seeing Conrad Vo, who I recognized from the Conrad Vo from The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, and ironically, him playing a Nazi in this film. In real life, he was a pacifist.
Yeah, and he was Jewish.
Yes,
and I think he escaped also from the Nazis.
Right, right. Just crazy how playing a character, but in real life, complete opposite. Right. How different it was. And also, like, I love, like, the love and the chemistry between Bogart and Ingrid Bergman. How, like, when in the flashback, like, when they were in love, but little did they barely, like, knew anything about each other, because I guess they just wanted to keep it a mystery, I guess, until... But then when the war starts, they were, well, she was scared because of not knowing what the world was becoming at that time, and despite the war, in some ways, their short love is what got them through that time, but unfortunately it ends a little bit sad for Rick's character, because they wanted to get married, but then just when they're about to get on the train to escape Germany, but unfortunately, no, Paris, not Germany, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase myself. When they're about to get out of Paris, she left him a note saying that... Right.
Well, she was already married.
Yeah, little did he didn't know that and stuff, and...
Yeah, but anyway, it is it's a very great script.
Yes.
The screenwriters did a great job.
Yes.
I think there was more than one involved.
Right.
And it was one of those types of movies that showed how well the old studio system could do.
Right.
And it's directed by the great Michael Curtiz, who's a very underrated director.
Yeah.
He directed a number of Hollywood classics, and this being one of them for sure.
Absolutely. This is probably, I would say, maybe his masterpiece, if you ask me, in my opinion. Like, this is, like, probably his best film to... I mean, don't get me wrong, like you said, directed other good film, but this is the best one out of all, because when I think of Michael Curtiz, this is the first one that comes to mind, is Casablanca.
Yeah, I mean, he also directed The Adventures of Robin Hood.
Right.
He directed...
Yankee Doodle Dandy.
Yankee Doodle Dandy. Angels with Dirty Faces.
Yes.
So he has a number of excellent screen credits.
Right, right. Also, I want to talk about how, like, the famous, like, iconic lines have become, like, such, like, if you never saw this movie, people just know these lines with just hearing it from, like, spoofs, parodies, or just people, like, play it against Sam as time goes by, and, or... Well, I wish I perished.
Yeah.
Very famous line in the film that's been, like, referenced so many times. Here's to looking at you, kid.
And one that was said by Claude Range, which is round up the usual suspects.
Right. Or this could be the beginning of a beautiful friendship. Right. And also... of all the gin joints in the world, why'd you have to barge into mine? There's just something about that scene when he's, like, sitting in the dark by himself, having a drink, and he's talking to Sam, and he's, drinking his sorrows out because of how somebody he remembered a few years ago came back in his life, just like that. I visualize myself sitting next to Bogart every time I watch that scene for some reason. Wish I could be there with him, having a drink and talking about my personal issue problems with women. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just minus the smoking.
Yeah, Bogart is he's a terrific actor.
Yes, the greatest.
He has a great screen presence.
Yeah.
When you see him on screen, somehow your attention always goes
to
him.
I'm hooked from the first scene up until the end of the movie. Well, then again, I'm always invested in Bogart's movies, no matter what he does. Yeah. Like how he's, he runs his own cafe, and he doesn't, like, care about people's politics. He just wants to run his business, and, take your politics somewhere else, something like that. I'm probably butchering what he said, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, like, despite, like, also the confusion of his love with Elsa, but even though this might be a little bit of, like, jealousy and, like, a love triangle between her husband and Rick, but... he does sort of, like, seem to, like respect her and, like, realize how much she really, like, loved her husband, and how, even though, like, their love could not be, go forward, but he learns to respect her for that. Especially on the ending. It's like, it's one of those, like, perfect endings. Like, yes, you want her to get on that airplane, because if she stays, she's gonna, be captured by the Nazis, and Lord knows what they could have done to her.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I heard supposedly there was, like, an alternate ending that was shot, but I'm not sure exactly how accurate that is, or how it's like, I don't know if that scene is like somewhere around here or was lost, and
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah,
I never, I
yeah.
haven't heard of
But
that.
if they ever do find it, don't restore it. Don't leave the end movie the way it is. It's perfect the way
Yeah.
it is.
Mm-hmm.
Don't like have us decide how we want to watch the ending, whether it's Rick ends up with Elsa or Elsa gets away with her husband.
Mm-hmm.
Because I like how at the airport where he explains to her husband, and the husband maybe a little bit upset, but he doesn't like he takes it well, the news of understand, because she thought that her husband was dead. That's where
Mm-hmm.
she understands that it was a misunderstanding. It wasn't
Right.
like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know whether you would really count that as an affair or cheating, honestly. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it passed the a board of the census board there with the code.
Right.
So it must have been believable enough or acceptable
Right.
for them to have that in the story.
Yeah, yeah. Well, then again, like I said, like when people like watch old Hollywood films, I remember once seeing a YouTube video where people think that modern day movies are bad and naughty, but even back then they were naughty. We just didn't see it because of the Hays Code, and now because we
Right.
have film historians and film critics analyzing the film of what this means. Like, I remember once listening to a commentary by Roger Ebert, how like when like in the flashback scene we see like Rick and Elsa, like where they're together, like sleep in the same room. That was again for forbidden at that time for
Mm-hmm.
an unmarried couple to be having sex and sleep in the same room together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's also the scene where the people that are trying to get away, the young woman and her husband.
Yeah, yeah.
And she's asking Rick about, if you really love somebody, would it matter to you if they did this or that? I mean, that whole scene was about her being propositioned by Claude Rains
Right.
to sleep with him so they could get the visas.
Right, right, right.
And then Rick does a very, and I won't spoil it, but he does a very nice thing in order to help her and her husband get away.
That's where you see like the where the character is likable to a degree.
Right.
That
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, flawed of course, but
yeah,
it just shows that he has a good heart and he really like cared about.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that line when she said, "When you care about loving," it's like he's thinking about
Mm-hmm.
Elsa in
yeah,
his mind.
probably, yeah.
Oh yeah, of course. Like that's how I interpret it. Like,
yeah,
yep, you don't have to, even with no dialogue, you can just see the look and the expression on his face of how.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep, thinking about Elsa, how much he loved her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they did a lot of things to try to get their message across.
Yeah.
Without, in the same sense, getting approval.
Right.
From really it was the code in Hollywood that prevented them from doing anything that suggested any kind of sexual outside of marriage.
Right.
The good guys always had to win and all that kind of stuff.
Right, right. In the way the flashback sequence makes you think a little bit about Citizen Kane to a degree, but not a full, like where...
Yeah.
Because, if Citizen Kane came out 2 years prior, I wouldn't be surprised they took a little bit of, like, Citizen Kane inspiration for the flashback in that scene when we learn about Rick and Elsa's relationship that they had in Paris before the war started.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the other thing, too, about that scene I want to bring back about when Rick's in the room all by himself in the darkness, not to, bring this up, I remember during COVID, I was feeling like Rick in that moment because during COVID, I was thinking about where I was the previous prior year before all that stuff happened with the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking about where I was, how from college, graduating college and making a new transition to a new college and going through a personal breakup at that time. It's like I was feeling that deep, dark connection to Rick to a certain degree, in a different level, of course. Yeah. Yeah. Also, the other thing I want to talk about, too, is, did you know that was based on a play, Everybody Comes to Rick?
Yes.
Did you ever read the play, or...?
No, I read about it. I mean, there's an excellent book about the making of Casablanca. I'm sure there's more than one.
I actually do have that book. I know what you're talking about, but I have read it, but it was a while ago, though. That's definitely a great book to bring to read if you're if you love Casablanca. I highly recommend it. The name escapes me, but again, I'll just leave a picture of it through as I'm editing this video. Also, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's an author. The books are pretty old by Algene Harmet, and she wrote a book about the making of Casablanca, as well as a book about the making of The Wizard of Oz. They're both excellent books.
Right. You know, like when they made this film, they didn't expect this film to be a big hit at the time.
Mm-hmm.
People thought like this was good because of like the different change of production. They had like the negative attitude, thinking this was going to be a flop, but they was wrong.
Yep.
Who knows if this movie bombed? Would this be a classic today? I don't know.
Well, sometimes things that were bombs do become classics. Like,
That's
for
true.
example, The Thing.
That's true. Yes. Different story, but still.
Yeah, that was a bomb both from the critics and nobody went to see it.
Stanley Kubrick's films at the time were bombs, but they became classics a decade later when they were rewatched.
Mm-hmm.
And also, this year marks the 100th anniversary when Warner Brothers first, when the studio opened.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just had to bring that up since we're doing Casablanca. I have to mention that. I mean, that would be a great video, but at the same time, that would take me a long time to do about like a Warner Brothers documentary. So, just going to mention that briefly right here. That this is the 100th anniversary of Warner Brothers. How it's been like one of the greatest film studios. How it's had a great impact and legacy of Hollywood. So with such great classics they made throughout the years. Batman movies, this movie, and oh man, I'm like drawing blanks. But anyway,
yeah. Well, they started out as being the darker side of Hollywood with all the gangster films that they did in the beginning.
Right? Did Warner Bros. Make Angels with Dirty Faces?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Good thing I know that one.
Yeah.
Also, the other thing I want to talk about this film is like I love like the set designs of this film. How it's so like real to me, as if I was like real. I feel like I'm there sometimes.
Yes. Yeah, and they did use, to save money in the final scene, the airplane was actually a miniature.
Right, obviously.
And they had people that were shorter that were the people in the background.
Right.
So it looked like it was a very far distance away when it was actually pretty close.
Right.
And, Curtiz did a great job in filming it. And he also added the smoke and to make it look like to kind of hide things a little bit.
Right. I also I remember watching an interview recently with like on the Blu-ray that we have here, like interviews of like Steven Spielberg, William Friedkin, and film historians. William Friedkin said that he went to the real country of Casablanca. He said it was the most boring country it ever been. He said it was not like the movie.
Yeah.
Because obviously they didn't shoot in Casablanca at the time because of the war at the time.
Right.
That's,
yeah.
But still, I would still take this over like, a film set, whereas in modern day it's all computerized now.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Not to get off topic, when I went to go see the Flash movie, the recent Flash film, after seeing so much like computer screen in that movie, I was like so numb. I'm like, I gotta go home and watch some like real good Turner Classic movies. This is one of them. Yeah, where I'm like, oh, finally, I'm watching a real movie, real set and location, not a computer.
Yeah.
I know the difference between real and fiction.
Right.
Yeah. But anyway, that's a different topic in itself. I just had to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it definitely was nominated for Academy Awards, but I can't remember exactly all the awards it was nominated for, but I'm not sure which one it was nominated, which one it won. Again, I'll just like do a video voice recording for that. And but I can only imagine how like when this got so many awards, people were shocked, like, wow, we're winning we're nominated for Academy Awards despite the worry about this movie of its Casablanca was nominated for 8 Academy Awards. It won 3 awards for Best Picture, Best Directing, and Best Writing. Yeah. And also the we already talked about the song at the cafe. The impact and legacy. Would you say it's definitely had an impact and legacy on modern filmgoers to this day? And
yeah, I think it's influenced a lot of filmmakers.
Right, like Steven Spielberg loves this movie a lot, and
and it's the one of the prime examples of the old studio Hollywood system.
Right.
Where you had the heads of the studio who controlled everything. And they also had a collaboration with the producers, the directors, the writers, and it was a work of art that was produced by many people. Right. And I guess that's true for film today too. But the studio system was much more regimented back then.
Right. That's true. But not only that, back when they made movies like this, they really like took the risk back then to make movies that that have like stood the test of times and will still stand the test of time till the end of times. And
yeah.
And I don't mean to like bounce around, but I forgot to mention how like the piano scene I played against him. Apparently, he did not know how to play piano.
Right, he does not know how to play the piano.
Because as I'm watching, I'm like, oh, I must play piano, but nope, I was wrong.
Yeah, he did a good job faking it.
Yeah. Also, I want to talk about the scene when Elsa had the gun at Rick. How it's a very like powerful scene, and how it's very like a little bit on the suspense side because not knowing she's really going to shoot Rick. And but he's got Kavorka.
Yeah, he does. Good old bogey.
Yeah, she couldn't resist Humphrey Bogart, no matter how much he was not perfect or his flaws or what he did that was right or wrong. And but at least he made up for it when he told her to get on the plane. That was the rebound for yeah. Let's see, what else do I want to talk about? Alright, I guess since we've covered almost just about everything from lines and how it's a perfect film from start to finish, escapism, a timeless classic, I want to talk about the spoof and parodies that it's done, like Woody Allen's Played Against Him. Did you ever see that movie?
Yes.
Yeah, great movie, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I gotta watch that again. That's a great Woody Allen, even though it wasn't directed by him, but...
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good.
But then again, it's still a Woody Allen. I still consider a Woody Allen film because, again, it's all Woody Allen from start to finish.
Right, yeah. They had a character that, obviously an actor that imitated Bogart who was very good.
Right, absolute. Well, remember the movie Breathless?
Yeah.
The character is a big Humphrey Bogart fan, and he dresses up as Humphrey Bogart. And, yeah, but I don't remember that character. I've seen it before, but it was a while ago when I took film classes at Suffolk County Community College. And also, remember Hot Shots Part, which we watched this past summer? They spoofed that.
Yep.
Charlie Sheen said of all like the scene of all the gin joints of all like the movies or again I don't remember how he said. I'll just do a recording and look it up later. Family Guy did a spoof of the ending where they're watching the ending, but they spoof it as a porno though. It's so fun.
Probably the first spoof of it was Carro Blanca.
Yes, I did.
With Bugs Bunny.
Actually, that was the 90s, actually, believe it or not.
Was it?
Yes.
Oh, I thought that was
I could see why you would think that. No, that was the 90s, Carro Blanca.
Oh, okay.
And have you ever seen that before?
I thought I did. Maybe I haven't.
But still, Carro Blanca is a spoof of Casablanca, which I think is a very good short of Bugs Bunny playing Rick.
Yeah.
And I don't remember, it was the cat from the one that Pepe Le Pew liked was the Elsa character.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And Tweety was Peter Lorre's character.
Oh, I have to look at that again.
Yes,
it's been a long time since I've seen it.
I'll show you it sometime. I have it on a DVD collection of like Looney Tunes movie spoofs and parodies.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, thank God, there have been talks about... I remember when I took film class, I remember there was rumors about a sequel to that, like back when the movie came out. But I'm kind of glad they never went far with making a sequel. Or
yeah,
and I also
there was a television show that was based on it,
right? And also they wanted to do like a sequel with like the characters' great grandchildren. I don't leave it alone. Just let the movie be. This is not a sequel material. It's a one-time movie, and that's how it should be. And also, I remember when I took film class, my film professor told me that originally they wanted to do a remake in the 2000s with Madonna and Ashton Kutcher. No, heck no, leave it alone. What? Madonna's his sugar to mama or? No, thank God they did not do that. Thank God for once they did not. The studio was smart enough to say no to Madonna about remaking this movie. No chance. No, Madonna can't act for anything. There was also a Marx Brothers movie called A Night in Casablanca, but despite the title, it's not really much of a parody of Casablanca as it sounds. I only saw this once when I was a little kid. I honestly don't remember the movie that well, but from what I've heard, it's considered to be one of the worst Marx Brothers movies ever made. Also, Disney's The Great Movie Ride, which is no longer around and available, had a great scenery set design at the ending to the famous iconic ending scene of Casablanca. This was my intro to knowing about what Casablanca was way before I saw the movie. Yeah. I guess we've covered just about everything for... Alright, so that was our video of Casablanca. Like the video, subscribe, and stay tuned for more good stuff to come. See you next time. Say bye, Dad.
Take care.
Here's to looking at you, kid. Louis, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.